solving percent problems. We're going to look at solving percent problems as equations. They can also be solved with ratios, but we're going to concentrate on using equations. The formula P times B equals A can be used to solve the percent problems as equations. You will be given two of the variables and will solve for the third. P stands for percent. You will recognize it with the percent symbol or the word. Convert the percentage to decimal form before substituting into the formula. Remember, you can't calculate with that percent symbol on there. And to change it over to a decimal, drop the percent and move the decimal 2 places to the left. B is the base. It is what you are taking the percent of. It almost always follows the word of. If you have a word problem instead of a direct translation, you can think of the base as the whole thing. A is the amount. To locate it in your problem, it is usually isolated by the word is. If you have a word problem instead of a direct translation, you can think of the amount as the part or selected piece. In our translation, is means equals, so it gives your equals symbol. Of means times. So now we'll solve some problems. Our formula is P times B equals A. We will remember some of our percents. 100% equals 1, 75% equals 3/4, 50% equals a half, and 25% equals 1/4. This will help us to know if our answers are reasonable. So for our first example, what is 7% of 45? So we're going to find a percent of something. I would write my formula, P times B equals A, and then I would look for the pieces. Right. First, let's find the percent. So it's going to be 7%. It has the percent symbol. This is our P. Remember, we have to switch it to decimal form to plug it in. So we're going to drop the percent and go 2 places to the left. So our P is going to be 0.07. Next, we look for our B. You go back to the percent and keep reading. 7% of, whatever you take the percent of should be the base. So the 45 is our base. And that only leaves one piece, which is going to be our A. The A can be at the beginning or the end. It's not going to be in the middle. So find your equals. Let's just check that we're correct here. And there's only one thing on that side. Remember, the A is isolated. And so the what is our A. That's going to be our unknown. And then we'll just do the math on the other side. So this is a multiplication problem. 45 times 0.07 and then remember, you have to place your decimal. If 2 digits after the decimal, that's what we will need in the answer. So 3.15 equals our A. Let's see if this is reasonable. So 7%. 7% is just a little bit. It's not even up to a quarter. A quarter would be 25%. So just a little bit of 45. 3.15, yes, that's just a little bit of 45. If we had made a decimal error, say we put it after the 1, 31.5. If we look at the percent of that out of 45, well, that's way too big. That's more than half. So it would definitely help us catch a decimal error just remembering these percents. Let's look at our next example. The number 40 is 80% of what number? So first I would write my formula, P times B equals A, and then look for your pieces. So let's look for the percent. Easy to find. It has the percent symbol. So that's our P. Continuing reading after the percent to find your base. So it says 80% of what number? This time our base is the piece we don't know. So we don't know that. And our A is the only one left. It's going to be at the beginning. Here's the is. The 40 is going to be the A. So our percent, 80%, remember to switch it to a decimal. Drop the percent, go 2 places to the left. So 0.80 or 0.8 times our base. Our base we did not know, so we'll keep a variable. Our A is 40. And now we just solve with our equation solving skills. So we want to isolate the B. We will divide on both sides by 0.8. This will give us just B on the left. On the right-hand side, we're going to divide that out. If you're allowed to use a calculator, this will be easy. Just remember, punch it in top to bottom, 40 divided by 0.8. But you also need to know how to do it by hand. So 0.8 into 40. You have to get the decimal out of the divisor and move the same amount of spaces underneath in your dividend. Then take the decimal straight up. So 8 divided into 40 will go 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract, bring down. 8 into 0 won't go. We have to go all the way up to our decimal. So our B is 50. Let's see if that's a reasonable answer. So 80% of 50. 80% is a lot. It's more than half. So more than half of 50 is 40. Yes, this is a reasonable answer. If we made a decimal error, say we didn't carry it over, we took it straight up and just had 5, 80% of 5 is 40, we would catch that kind of error. For our next example, what percent of 74 is 11.1? So we'll write our formula, P times B equals A, and then we'll find our pieces. So first we'll look for the percent. This time that's going to be our unknown. What percent? Keep reading. Right after the percent should be your base. What percent of 74 is going to be your base. Here's your is. And the A this time is on the end of the problem. Remember, it can be at the beginning or the end. So we'll plug in. So percent we don't know. Keep a P. The base is 74. Keep your equals. And the amount, or the A, is 11.1. Now you're set up to solve. You're going to isolate the P. So you have to divide on both sides by 74. Now, anytime you solve for P, it takes one more step than the other kind. Remember, when we plug into P, we have to put it in as a decimal. That's the kind of answer you're getting out. You are not getting the percent symbol. So we have to convert this back to a percent symbol. If you have a calculator, a fast way is punch it in top to bottom and get your decimal, and then you will move it 2 places to the right to get percent. A calculator would give us 0.15 for this, and we would move the decimal 2 places to the right and add the percent symbol. Let's do it real quick by hand. If you're just changing it to a decimal first, 74 into 11.1. No decimal and divisor, your decimal goes straight up. 74 into 111 will go 1 time, multiply back, subtract, add a 0 and bring down, and this will go 5 times. So it gives the 0.15. You still have to change it to percent. So move your decimal 2 places to the right and add your percent symbol. Let's see if this is a reasonable answer. So 15%, so not even a fourth, 15% of 74 is 11.1. That's reasonable. Let's look at one more example. It says Jan got 17 questions right on a test that had 20 questions. What percentage did she get correct? So this one is not a direct translation. Remember at the beginning, that I said you can think of the base as the whole thing and the amount as the part. So we can still work with our formula. So we'll write our formula. P times B equals A. And we're going to look for our percent because it says what percentage. So that's our P. So we need to figure out which one is our B and which one is our A. The B is the whole thing. It's what you're taking the percent of. So the 20 is going to be our B, and the 17 that she got right is our selected piece. That is going to be the A. And then we'll fill in and use the same problem. So the P we don't know. Our base or our total is 20 questions. The amount she got correct is 17. And now we're ready to solve. So we want to isolate our P, divide by 20. And again, we're doing a problem where we're solving for percent. So we have to switch back to the percent symbol. So 17 divided by 20. If you have a calculator, punch it top to bottom. We'll give you 0.85. And then remember to take your percent, take your decimal over 2 places to the right and add your percent symbol. So 85%. If you're doing it by hand, 20 into 17 won't go. Put your decimal, take it straight up, and you can add zeros. So that will go 8 times. 8 20s are 160. Subtract, bring down, add a 0, and there's your 5. You would still need to go to percent. So our percent is 85%. Let's see if this is reasonable. So 85%, so more than 3/4. She had correct. Yes, 17 is more than 3/4 of 20. So very good. So our P equals 85%. So what if we ask, what percent did she get wrong? What could you do without going through this whole procedure? What percent of questions did she miss? So because there's 100% altogether, if you just took 100% and subtracted the 85, you would get the part that she missed. So she missed 15%.